In the vast emptiness of the Orion Arm, the UES Salvation hung like a huge metal beast against the stars. At 17 kilometers from front to back, it was humanity's greatest achievement, the first true space battleship. Captain Hannah Parks stood at the big window, her face marked by years of service, as starlight played across her features. She thought about what this moment meant for all humans. The ship wasn't just big, it was enormous. Its hull gleamed with the dull sheen of titanium alloy reinforced with materials only recently discovered. Weapon ports lined its surface like small caves in a cliff face. Each one could fire energy beams strong enough to cut through most known metals. Hannah touched the cold glass of the window. 25 years of her life had led to this moment. From her first days as a cadet to now, commanding the most powerful ship ever built. "Captain, all systems are ready for the jump," said Lieutenant Dew, his voice calm but excitement showing in his eyes. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Tell engineering we'll proceed in 10 minutes." The Salvation wasn't just a warship. It was humanity's insurance policy. After hundreds of years with no signs of alien life, Earth's leaders had decided that first contact, if it ever happened, would be on human terms. They would not be found weak. Hannah walked from the window to the captain's chair at the center of the bridge. Screens showed every part of the massive ship. 5,000 crew members worked inside this metal giant. They carried the hopes of billions back on Earth. "Captain Park," called Commander June from his station, "we have the final clearance from Earth Command." Hannah nodded. This was it, the moment human beings would truly step beyond their solar system. "Attention all crew," she said, her voice carrying to every room and corridor of the ship. "This is Captain Park. We are about to make our first jump. What we do today opens a new chapter for humanity. Be ready for anything." The bridge fell quiet. Only the soft beeps of machines broke the silence. "Navigation, set course for the Proxima Centauri system." "Course set, Captain." "Engineering, prepare the drive." "Drive ready, Captain." Hannah took a deep breath. Her hand hovered over the command panel on her chair. With one touch, humanity would leap beyond their sun's reach for the first time. She pressed the button. The stars outside began to stretch like pulled taffy. The ship hummed as powerful engines bent space itself. Hannah felt a slight pressure, then nothing, as the ship's systems protected everyone inside from the effects of the jump. What no one on the Salvation knew was that they were being watched. Hidden near a small moon, a ship of completely alien design recorded everything about the human vessel. This ship was much smaller, only about the size of an Earth shuttle. Its surface seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Inside this observer craft, beings very different from humans studied the Salvation with great interest. They had watched Earth for decades, seeing humans develop from a planet-bound species to one reaching for the stars. And they had noticed something concerning. Humans always prepared for war first. His ship quietly followed the energy trail left by the Salvation's jump. First contact was inevitable now. The question was, would it be peaceful? Back on the Salvation, the jump ended successfully. New stars filled the viewports. Captain Park felt a surge of pride as her crew cheered. Humanity had reached another star system. "Navigation, confirm our position," she ordered, bringing everyone back to their duties. "We're exactly where we should be, Captain. Proxima Centauri is dead ahead." Hannah smiled. "Begin system scan. Let's see what's out here." As the Salvation's powerful sensors reached out to study the new system, they remained unaware of the alien ship that had followed them. The first meeting between humanity and alien life was coming soon, and it would begin because of this massive warship, a ship built not for exploration, but for war. The Nithar Confederation ship, Gentle Observer, hung in the darkness of space, its light-absorbing hull making it nearly invisible. Inside, Ambassador Tejo stood before a large hologram showing the human warship in perfect detail. The massive UES Salvation looked like a weapon even when standing still. "How big is it again?" Tahoe asked, his four-fingered hand passing through the hologram. 17 Earth kilometers, answered Science Director Sue, her slender form moving gracefully around the projection. Their largest military vessel by far. The Nithar had watched humans for over 300 years. They had seen world wars, atomic bombs, and countless smaller conflicts. But they had also seen art, music, and acts of incredible kindness. Humans were complex, which made them fascinating but also worrying. The Nithar Confederation had maintained a policy of non-interference with emerging species for thousands of years. Their hidden outposts had studied thousands of civilizations across the galaxy. Most destroyed themselves before reaching the stars. They build for war before even knowing if there's an enemy, Sue said, her voice soft but troubled. Tahoe nodded slowly. The humans' first true starship was not built for science or exploration. It was built to fight. Perhaps they expect everyone to be like them, he suggested. Their history is full of conquest and defense. The meeting chamber held 12 Nithar, all experts in different fields. They had smooth blue-gray skin, large eyes, and stood about a head shorter than the average human. Their civilization had abandoned warfare centuries ago, choosing instead to become peaceful explorers and observers. We should maintain distance, said defense analyst Minho. Unlike other species, the Nithar had no military. Minho's job was to help protect their people through avoidance and understanding, not through weapons. The human ship shows signs of preparing another jump, Sue reported, checking her instruments. They are exploring systematically. Tahoe walked around the hologram, studying every detail of the human vessel. Its weapon ports, its thick armor, its massive engines. Everything about it suggested power and threat. Yet the Nithar had also observed human kindness, human creativity, human love for exploration. This contradiction made the species unique among those they had studied. They're heading toward the Proxima system, Sue said. At their current path, they will miss our observation post by a comfortable margin. The Nithar had small, uncrewed observation stations in most nearby star systems. These stations were designed to be invisible to developing civilizations, collecting data without interfering. What troubles me, Tahoe said, is not their current path but their future one. Sooner or later, they will detect one of our outposts or even one of our worlds. What then? Will they approach with weapons ready as they explore now? The room fell silent. This was the great question that had divided the Confederation Council for decades as they watched humans develop faster than light travel. Should they make contact before humans discovered them by accident? Or would contact with such a warlike species risk bringing violence to their peaceful civilization? Look at the design, Sue said, pointing to specific parts of the hologram. Their ship has science labs, agricultural sections, civilian quarters. It's not purely a weapon. But it is primarily a weapon, countered Minho. Tahoe raised his hand, a gesture for thoughtful silence in Nithar culture. We've watched humans create art that moves even our hearts. We've seen them risk their lives to save animals with no benefit to themselves. We've seen them protect the weak at cost to the strong. Yes, they build for war, but perhaps not only for war. The debate continued for hours as the human ship moved through space, unaware it was being discussed by beings who had mastered interstellar travel when humans were still fighting with swords. We will continue to observe, Tahoe finally decided. But we will also prepare for first contact protocols. The time is coming when hiding will no longer be possible or right. As the meeting ended, Tahoe stayed alone with the hologram. The human ship, this UES Salvation, represented everything the Nithar had moved beyond. Yet it also carried beings who might someday be friends, partners in exploring the vast galaxy. We will meet soon, humans, he said quietly to the empty room. I hope you can see beyond your weapons when we do. Outside, the gentle observer adjusted its course, following the human ship at a safe distance. First contact was inevitable now. The only question was whether it would begin with understanding or with fear. Captain Park stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The small red dot on the screen shouldn't be there. It had appeared suddenly, as if something had briefly failed to hide itself. Confirm that reading, Lieutenant Kim. What exactly are we looking at? Her voice remained steady, despite her racing heart. Lieutenant Kim's fingers flew across his console, running every scan the Salvation's advanced systems could perform. His usually calm face showed tension as he double-checked the results. Unknown vessel, Captain. Definitely artificial, and definitely not one of ours. According to these readings. He paused, looking up with wide eyes. It's been trailing our position since we left Jupiter's orbit. The bridge fell silent. 20 crew members stopped what they were doing and turned toward their captain. Humanity's first encounter with extraterrestrial intelligence wasn't supposed to happen like this, not with an unknown ship secretly tracking Earth's greatest warship. Park took a deep breath. She had trained for this moment her entire career, but training felt hollow now that it was real. Actual aliens, watching them, following them. How did we not detect it until now? She asked. It appears to have some kind of cloaking technology, Kim said. Our latest sensor sweep used a new algorithm. That's the only reason we caught it. And even now, we're getting minimal readings. Commander Jun moved to Park's side, speaking quietly. Captain, this could be first contact. The protocols are clear. The protocols were indeed clear. Attempt communication. Show peaceful intentions, but also protect the ship. Humanity's first meeting with alien life could define Earth's place in the galaxy for centuries to come. Open all standard communication channels, Park ordered. Broadcast the first contact message package in all frequencies. The message package had been carefully designed by Earth's best linguists, mathematicians, and anthropologists. It contained basic mathematical sequences, simple images of humans, and peaceful greetings in 100 Earth languages. Broadcasting now, Captain, the communications officer reported. And bring our defensive systems to standby, Park added. This was standard procedure. Be friendly, but be ready. No targeting, just standard alert status. On the Nithar vessel, alarms began to sound. The sudden broadcast from the human ship had bypassed their cloaking technology, revealing that they had been discovered. They've detected us, Science Director Sue announced, her voice tight with concern. Ambassador Tejo moved quickly to the main control area. Are they communicating? Yes, sending basic mathematical sequences and images. But also, Sue's face showed alarm. Their energy systems are powering up in a pattern consistent with weapons preparation. Tejo felt a chill. This was what they had feared, humans, faced with the unknown, preparing for combat. They cannot actually see us, Defense Analyst Minho said. They've detected our presence, but not our exact position. The energy readings they're getting from our ship might be confusing their sensors. Should we reveal ourselves fully? Sue asked. Show peaceful intentions. Tejo hesitated. The Nithar had protocols too, developed over thousands of years of occasionally meeting new species, but humans were unlike any species they had encountered before. Advanced enough for interstellar travel, but still deeply rooted in conflict. We should move away, Minho suggested. Give them space. Show we are not a threat. Agreed, said Tejo. Activate the displacement drive. Move us 5,000 units away. Back on the Salvation, Lieutenant Kim suddenly jerked upright. Captain. Energy spike from the unknown vessel. Massive power buildup. Park's training took over. What kind of energy? Weapons? Unknown type, but the pattern resembles pre-firing sequences in our own systems. The bridge erupted in controlled activity. A weapons officer called out, Should we target, Captain? Park hesitated only for a second. No targeting, but fire a warning shot. Low power, widespread, 500 meters from their last known position. The Salvation's smallest weapon port opened, firing a brief flash of energy into empty space. At that exact moment, the Nithar ship activated its displacement drive, a technology far beyond human understanding. The ship didn't fly away. It simply shifted its position in space instantly. From the Nithar perspective, they were simply moving to show they weren't a threat. From the human perspective, the alien ship had suddenly vanished, right as they fired a warning shot. "Direct hit?" Park asked, confusion in her voice. "No, Captain," Kim responded, equally confused. "The vessel just disappeared. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Our shot passed through empty space." Park felt sick. Had they just destroyed humanity's first chance at peaceful contact with alien life? Had their warning shot somehow annihilated the alien vessel? "Search all sectors," she ordered. "Find them." Meanwhile, 5,000 units away, the Nithar ship reappeared safely. But their sensors had recorded everything. The human ship powering weapons, firing energy directly at their previous position. "They fired on us," Sue said, disbelief in her voice. Without provocation. Tahoe stared at the recording, his hopes for peaceful first contact fading rapidly. "The Council must be informed immediately," he said quietly. "Humans are more dangerous than we thought." The misunderstanding was complete. Two species, neither wanting conflict, now viewed each other with fear and suspicion. The Nithar Council chamber buzzed with worried voices. 50 representatives from across their confederation had gathered for an emergency meeting. The curved walls displayed images of the human warship firing energy weapons. "The evidence is clear," said Council Leader Minje, her voice cutting through the noise. "The humans have developed interstellar travel and immediately used weapons against the first non-human intelligence they encountered." Ambassador Tahoe stood before them, feeling the weight of his responsibility. "We should not rush to judgment. The energy discharge was minor, possibly a warning, not an attack." "A warning is still hostile," argued defense analyst Minnow. "They detected us and immediately prepared for violence." The council chamber was divided. Some wanted to avoid humans completely, marking their territory as dangerous. Others suggested showing overwhelming force to deter human aggression. A few, like Tahoe, still hoped for peaceful contact. "What troubles me most," said Science Director Sue, "is their ship design. Why build something so massive and armed for their first ventures into space unless they expected, or wanted, conflict?" Meanwhile, aboard the UES Salvation, Captain Park had not slept for 30 hours. The alien ship had vanished without a trace after her warning shot. Had they destroyed it? Scared it away? Or was it still out there, watching? "All sensor suites negative, Captain," reported Lieutenant Kim. "Either they're gone, or their cloaking technology is beyond our detection abilities." Park rubbed her tired eyes. "Continue broadcasting the first contact package on all frequencies." Commander June approached her chair. "Captain, we should return to Earth immediately. Report what happened. Let the Security Council decide how to proceed." Park shook her head. "And tell them what? That we may have fired on the first aliens we ever met. That we might have started an interstellar war before humanity even knew there were other intelligences out there." Security Chief Jin joined them, his face grim. "With respect, Captain, if they interpreted our warning shot as an attack, they could return with greater numbers. We should at least move to a defensive position." Park stared at the stars on the main screen. First contact had been botched spectacularly, and she had no way of knowing if her warning shot had been interpreted as an act of war. The weight of humanity's future pressed down on her shoulders. 3 days passed. The Salvation remained in position, broadcasting peace messages continuously. The crew grew tense. Some believed the aliens were gone for good. Others feared they would return seeking revenge. It happened during the night shift. Lieutenant Kim's voice came through the ship's communication system, waking Park instantly. "Captain, to the bridge. Multiple vessels approaching." Park ran to the bridge in her sleeping clothes, not bothering to change. When she arrived, the main screen showed 7 ships approaching in formation. They were smaller than the Salvation, with smooth, curved designs unlike anything humans had built. "Are they broadcasting anything?" Park asked, taking her place in the captain's chair. Yes, Captain. Mathematical sequences similar to our first contact package. Park felt a rush of relief. They were trying to communicate, not attack. But the situation remained dangerous. One wrong move could still start a war. Security Chief Jin was already at his station. Captain, I recommend we power up weapon systems and shields as a precaution. Commander Jun disagreed. That might be seen as threatening. We should show peaceful intentions. Park watched the approaching ships carefully. Their formation was not aggressive. They maintained a respectful distance. If they wanted to attack, why announce their presence? In a moment of clarity, Park made a decision that would change human history forever. Power down all systems except life support and basic communications, she ordered. The bridge crew stared at her in shock. Captain, that would leave us completely defenseless, Jin protested. If they wanted war, she told her protesting security chief, they'd have brought their own battleships. These don't look like warships to me. Jin continued to object. We can't be sure of that. Alien technology might. Chief Jin, Park interrupted firmly. This is a direct order. Power down all systems except life support and communications. One by one, the salvation systems went offline. Weapons, shields, engines, sensors beyond the most basic. The mighty warship drifted in space, essentially helpless. On the lead Nithar vessel, Ambassador Tejo watched in amazement as the human warship went dark. His instruments showed nearly all its power systems shutting down voluntarily. What are they doing? Asked Minnow, confused by this unexpected development. Tahoe felt a surge of hope. They're making themselves vulnerable, showing trust. He turned to his crew. This changes everything. Prepare my shuttle. I will go to them personally. Back on the Salvation, Park watched as a small craft detached from one of the alien vessels and moved slowly toward them. It appears to be a shuttle of some kind, Kim reported. Just one life form aboard. Park took a deep breath. This was the real first contact moment, not their disastrous first encounter, but this conscious choice to meet face to face. Prepare the main airlock, she said. I'll meet our visitor personally. As the alien shuttle approached the massive but dormant human warship, two civilizations stood at the crossroads of history. Park's gamble had worked. By choosing vulnerability over strength, she had opened the door to dialogue rather than conflict. The grand meeting hall in Geneva glowed with soft light. 200 of Earth's most powerful leaders sat in curved rows, their faces showing a mix of wonder and worry. At the center of the room stood a being not of Earth. Ambassador Tejo looked almost human from a distance, but up close, the differences were clear. His blue-gray skin had a soft shine. His eyes were larger, with pupils that changed shape as he looked around. He stood shorter than most humans, but moved with a natural grace that made him seem important without trying. 5 weeks had passed since that tense first meeting in space. 5 weeks of careful talks, cultural exchanges, and growing understanding between humans and the Nithar. Now, the formal introduction of humanity to the wider galactic community was about to happen. Captain Hannah Park sat with Earth's military representatives, her uniform perfectly pressed. She had not expected to become famous as the human who made first contact. The weight of that moment still lived in her dreams. Representatives of Earth, Tahoe began, his voice translated by a small device at his throat. I stand before you as a friend, though just weeks ago, we were strangers who almost became enemies. The room was completely silent. Even breathing seemed too loud. For thousands of years, the Nithar Confederation has watched civilizations rise and fall across our galaxy. We have seen species destroy themselves or reach for the stars. Those who achieve interstellar travel almost universally do so in pursuit of knowledge and peaceful expansion. Tahoe paused, letting his words sink in. A hologram appeared beside him showing the UES Salvation in all its massive, weaponized glory. You humans built a fortress first. He gestured toward the hologram, a ship designed primarily for war, not exploration. Initially, we found this deeply concerning. Many council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Earth's leaders had insisted the salvation was for defense only, but its design spoke louder than words. But in our time learning about you, Tahoe continued, we have come to understand something profound about your species. The ambassador moved closer to the human delegation, his movements smooth and unthreatening. Your history is marked by conflict, yes, but also by incredible kindness. You fight wars, but you also create art that can move even non-human hearts. You build weapons, but you also build hospitals and schools. He looked directly at Captain Park now. You build mighty weapons precisely because you value peace so desperately. The paradox of humanity is that your capacity for violence has made you extraordinarily careful about using it. Park felt tears forming in her eyes. She had made the decision to power down the salvation systems based on instinct and hope. That single choice had led to this moment. When Captain Park turned off her ship's weapons and shields, Tahoe said, she showed greater courage than any display of force could have. She chose trust over fear, vulnerability over strength. This is the true measure of an advanced civilization. The hologram changed to show the galaxy, with thousands of points of light marking the worlds of the Nithar Confederation and their allied species. There are dangers in our galaxy, Tahoe admitted. Resources to be fought over, old conflicts that still burn. But there is also beauty beyond your imagination. Art forms you have never conceived. Sciences that will transform your understanding of reality itself. He spread his four-fingered hands in a gesture of openness. The Nithar welcomes humanity to the galactic community, Tahoe concluded. Your massive warship did indeed spark our first contact, but it was your restraint, not your firepower, that earned our respect. Captain Park released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Beside her, Security Chief Jin, who had strongly opposed powering down the ship, nodded slowly in acknowledgement. United Earth President Minhee rose from her seat. She was a small woman, but her presence filled the room. Ambassador Tahoe, we thank you for your wisdom and your willingness to look beyond our mistakes. Humanity has much to learn about being citizens of a larger community than just our own world. She walked forward and extended her hand in the human gesture of friendship. Tahoe, who had studied human customs, took it carefully. The salvation will be the first of many ships, President Minhee said, but perhaps the next ones need not be built so much for war. Perhaps not, Tahoe agreed. Though remember, it was not the absence of weapons that impressed us, but the choice not to use them. Later that evening, Captain Park stood on a balcony overlooking Lake Geneva. The stars above seemed different now that she knew what and who was out there. Ambassador Tahoe joined her, his skin slightly luminous in the moonlight. You took a great risk, he said quietly. Your superiors could have punished you for making your ship vulnerable. Park smiled. Some wanted to, but it's hard to argue with success. Your species is fascinating, Tahoe said. So full of contradictions, so dangerous, yet so careful with that danger. What happens now? Park asked. Tahoe looked up at the stars. Now the real work begins. Cultural exchange, scientific cooperation, trading of ideas and art, and yes, security discussions too. The galaxy is not always kind. Will I see the salvation again? Of course, but perhaps with a new mission. The ship that was built for war might yet become a symbol of peace. As they stood there, a shooting star crossed the sky. Not a natural one, but a Nithar ship heading home to share news of humanity with distant worlds. The universe had become both larger and smaller in the space of 5 weeks, and it had all started with a misunderstanding, a warning shot, and then, crucially, an act of trust.